Hello, I'm Dr. Deborah Spence, CEO of Need to Talk LLC, which is a counseling and wellness firm in Southfield, Michigan. I am also the radio host of the Need to Talk radio show on wrcj's 90.9 FM. Today, I am joining the one and only Stenell Myers as we discuss woman on woman abuse and shame. Hope to see you. No more excuses. Wake up.
Okay. All right. So we can talk about this for so long. However, our topic is really focused on women abuse. And one
Yes.
day you and I we were walking and you told me, well, before that, when we met and I went into your home, you told me about this dissertation. And I said, oh my goodness, that's deep. And then when we were walking, you gave me more information. So, can you really talk about women on women abuse?
Yes, I love this topic, partly because I've lived this topic.
Mm.
And it's hard to tell you what woman on woman abuse is unless I give you a little history on it, if I may.
Yes.
So, when I was a young girl in elementary school, even, I would get into fights. And the girls knew what to say to egg me on, and that was, your mama's a hoe.
Mm.
And I,
Girl.
right, defending my mother's honor, I fell for it oftentimes. But there were times I remember one particular time that I heard some voices in the back of me, and I just turned to see who it was, just out of curiosity. I think it's a normal instinct. And the girl said, I'm going to beat your butt after school. So oftentimes my morning prelude was, Mama, can you pick me up from school today? Because my mother didn't work. She was a home mother. And she would say, again. And I would say, yeah, again. And it just seemed like the fights just followed me. And I didn't
Mm.
really get why.
Wow.
It wasn't until later on in life that I began to understand it. But I think that brought out a natural curiosity with me. What is this with girls? I knew I was a little different, but I didn't understand how different I was until I got older and started studying philosophy. Then I'm pretty, my worldview is like a Judeo-Christian existentialist, which means I
Mhm.
believe in God, and I believe that there's a purpose that He puts us here before we were born. He had a purpose for us, and it's up to
Yes.
us to find and live out that purpose. But I was just different. And typically, you see, up until now, in the past, there were a lot of men with that philosophy, and not even Judeo-Christian, but existentialism. It would be men, and there's a dark side to that, but that's not. I'm more Western in my existentialism,
Uh-huh.
and so I just didn't understand some things. And then when I got to high school, I was pretty good at being mean. There was someone that I was mean to, but I used to sit up at night because I was privileged enough to go to boarding school for 4 years. And I would sit up at night after the lights went out, and I would talk to people on a little love seat in the hall. And I used to call those secret talks. And I got great joy out of talking to someone in the midnight hours, and in our little secret talks. And little did I know, being the existentialist that I am, that my purpose was evolving through the fights, through the secret talks,
Hmm.
through different relationships that I had with people, through the parent that I got. My mother had green eyes and long sandy brown hair. She had issues with girls. She had a sister who was
Oh.
dark with dark hair, and a sister who was ruddy red with hazel eyes. And then her older sister was very, very light with blue eyes. And so they stuck together, and with the exclusion of other girls because they didn't treat them well. And so, I say this to give you some history. And then I married and I divorced, and I married again and
Mm-hmm.
divorced again.
Mhm.
And it's kind of uncharacteristic because my parents were together 32 years before my father died. But I remember leaving the church because I felt shame. I was embarrassed. I felt shame. I didn't feel accepted. And so I went back to church, not the same church that I was at, but a church closer to my home. And I would slip in the balcony after the services started. I would slip out. Little did I know that I caught the attention of a man.
Mhm.
And this man was a recent widower. And his wife had died of cancer, and the ladies there at the church were waiting to see who was going to get him.
Wow.
He did pretty well.
That happens. They
He
be
did pretty
waiting,
well. Yeah,
waiting.
waiting with baked
Probably
dishes.
wasn't even warm yet. Probably wasn't even they and that's true. That's facts.
Well, I didn't realize what I was walking into. Well, because I had been married twice, they crucified me. And when I say crucified, they didn't physically string me up, but
Wow.
psychologically,
Yeah.
oh,
Come on.
they crucified me. And he thought it was funny,
Wow.
which was another form of abuse, to be honest about it, because he
So
would come and tell me
you married him?
I did. He would tell me the things that they said. Ah, isn't that funny? But it was
Wow.
killing me. It was killing me. And so I decided that I wanted to go back to school. And but I didn't know where or how. And then I was working at a neighborhood high school as a speech and language pathologist. And I was standing in the office, and a girl zipped past me and ran into the pool of secretaries. And a pack of girls also ran past me and ran into the pool too. And the principal wasn't there, he was out on business. They knocked her to the ground and began to beat her and stomp her. And I just thought, oh my God, that's someone's child.
And you said
So
pool
I
of
jumped,
secretaries?
yes,
What you mean?
yes. And they were stunned. They were in shock, except for one
So wait a
and
minute.
me.
They ran past you to secretaries?
I was standing at the desk in the office talking with a secretary.
Okay.
One of the girl who had been beaten, was thought that if she had run behind the desk, it was a safe place for her, but it wasn't.
Oh my
The girls
goodness.
ran and followed her
Wow.
into this pool of secretaries and beat her. It was beginning to beat her. There were a few secretaries that were just in shock, but I and the person that I was talking to jumped in. And we just began to peel these girls off of this child like a banana, like you peel a banana,
Mm-mm-mm.
peeling them off of her. And I was just stunned. I went back to my office that day. I closed the door and I wept.
Mm.
I wept because I knew that what I saw was not human.
Mm.
And it was at that point that I was very determined to go back to school and to study this thing that
Mm.
I saw. So I did. And I ended up doing some focus studies because there was no work done in this area, and just to get the information to do a dissertation. So a focus study is something that you can do for a dissertation,
Yes, it is.
but I wanted more information. So using the information from a focus study, we created a survey,
Mm-hmm.
and did all the statistical testing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a good survey. And I distributed about 1,700 surveys across 12 states.
Mm-hmm.
We got 640 back, and I didn't even want to touch them in entering the data. So we scanned them with SPSS, which is a statistical package,
Mm-hmm.
computer software package. And it turned out that the reliability and validity were 0.89, and that's higher than some IQ test.
Mm.
So it definitely showed that woman on woman abuse does exist.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the statistics on men abusing women was 25%, 25 out of every 100. In my study with women answering, it showed that 35 out of 100 women abused other women.